Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. I am Drew Martin, joined by Joe Ranieri, CT Betts, and Kelly Stewart. We're getting you ready for bowl season. We got NFL, we got college basketball, maybe some NBA. Who knows what else you're going to get? Probably some off-the-field comments as well. Going around the horn here, Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Hey, if you're not following her already, you're probably watching the wrong show. Kelly, welcome in.
Hey, thanks, Drew. Happy to be here. More happy to be done with tonight. I just did my second 3-hour show of the week. And, I got to give a little tip of the cap. I'm so used to doing this like short form content anymore, or at least less than an hour. I'm fucking exhausted. Like I am like at a breaking point tonight. And then I'm going to do some content for the atrocious Thursday night football game. But I'm already thinking about having a Viva when this show gets done and going to bed.
Hey, no need to wait. Pop it open during the show. It's been done before.
Listen, if I didn't have to still continue to work, I would. But here's the problem. You get in this like gray area, right? Of alcohol and gambling and this whole. So I try to navigate it appropriately. And sometimes I go off the rails, obviously, but I don't ever want to sound intoxicated in a video. So I'm so tired right now that I feel like I already sound that way. So if I have 2 or 3 Vivas during the game, this might like, it might get real bad.
Oh yeah, no, I've been there. I'm sure you've done it, but I mean, listening to yourself after doing a show when or like a little video when you've had too much to drink, you're just like, oh my gosh, never again. I'm with you,
Remember,
Kelly.
it's like you during Mexico and COVID. You were like in Mexico slamming beers. They're chanting "Gringo Loco," like or whatever they were. It was those were great days. I'd like to go back to those days.
Actually, yeah, it was fun. Elated now that it's like in the past, but overall, great to have you, Kelly. We got CT Betts. He knows a little bit something about Viva Tequila Seltzer. CT, always good to have you. Welcome on in, man.
Jesus Christ, I hate when you put that photo up. Thank you, much appreciated. Drew, I'm doing pretty good for a couple reasons here. Number one, I'm not going to have a headache during this show or after this show because Trig will not be here to bore us about Queens University basketball, a team I bet against last night, posted on my Twitter that Appalachian State blasted to Mars. So that's great. He's at a Christmas party frolicking around with his girlfriend and can't be here. So the 4 of us are here together, and great team that we have established tonight here to rip off some winners. So I'm doing excellent, Drew.
Always good to have CT Betts, and the guy's stepping in for Trig. It's one of those situations. I feel like it's like, hey, we got the starter and the backup, but I feel with Joe Ranieri's not a backup to anybody. Joe, welcome on in, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like, and I just watched Ohtani get introduced here for $785 trillion there with the Dodgers. It was actually pretty exciting to know that. Baseball's at least not running out of money. So good stuff there, Dodgers. But I'm happy to be stepping up here and pinch hitting for the man that I believe is trying to figure out how to tie a tie right now on his way to a Christmas party. So I did my best, guys. I tried.
You're kidding me. He doesn't know. He has to call you to learn how to tie a tie instead of just, picking up his cellular device and using a network we use every day called YouTube. Never mind.
Yeah.
Wow. Nope, never mind. I quit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have. Yeah. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, Kelly. We've got a lot going on here. We'll hit it some more. But hey, throughout the show, we got bets coming your way. We got Thursday night football. We got a small college basketball slate. But CT Betts, did you have a big game breakdown you wanted to throw out there to the listeners?
Sure, I do, Drew. And before I get to that, yes, I do hate myself right before we started this show, Drew. I tweeted out the Chargers, the Bolts, +3 because Joe Ranieri, they haven't cost me enough money yet in the last year and a half. And I'm coming back for more. I am coming back for more. and I couldn't not play it tonight. I made the Chargers about a 1.5 point favorite. So getting 3 here versus Aiden O'Connell, which I think that, the Raiders not playing Jimmy G tells me they really don't want to win. I don't think Aiden O'Connell should be the starting trigger man for this team. I know Easton Stick gets under center tonight, but fourth quarter he threw a nice ball to Quentin Johnson for about a 60-yard gain, and I think the better trigger man is Easton Stick. With Josh Jacobs out tonight, look for Eckler to have a big game. So I'm on the Bolts, and and if I end up hating myself even more than I already do, so be it. It is what it is, Joe. And I know it's ugly, but I'm going with the Chargers tonight. That's not my big game breakdown. Drew, as you know, it's bowl season, and there's 6 of them on Saturday, and there's a bowl game that I like a lot Saturday, and that's the LA Bowl, right? It's UCLA versus Boise State. Boise State's on their 3rd string quarterback here, Drew. They have to start QB3, and that's CJ Tiller, who's actually only a 3-star. This is going to be his first career start. He played only 2 snaps this year, and he's playing against a pretty good UCLA defense here. And I know Latu, the defensive end for UCLA, is out, but pretty much the rest of the defense is going to play here for the Bruins. And the Bruins under center, they're going to have Ethan Garbers. As we all know, Dante Moore, he entered the transfer portal. This is a significant advantage at the most important position on the field. Garbers played in 6 games this year. He threw 6 TDs. He didn't really turn the ball over. Good quarterback here, and he's going up against a not so effective Boise State defense as what we've seen in the past here. So I'm backing Chip Kelly and the Bruins. Chip Kelly is going to coach this game. I feel like he's going to have the guys up for this one. And the Bruins D is going to make it really difficult for the Broncos to move the ball. So I played on the UCLA Bruins, Drew, in the LA Bowl for my big game breakdown, -4.
CT, I like that one too. And I think people got to realize UCLA after the USC game has been terrible for years, and they lost to that Cal team. And I almost think people are like downgrading them too much. Plus the fact it's the LA Bowl in an NFL stadium there in England. I think that they'll be pretty motivated for it. So like those 2 combinations in themselves, and then you broke down very eloquently that the Boise State quarterback not going to be playing. So all of that, man, I'm with you. I think the Bruins are the side.
Well, Drew, let's hope to cash this one on Saturday, and I like being on the same side. So let's get the money.
All right, guys. Hey, I'll follow that up also on Saturday, New Mexico Bowl, University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I bring that up because New Mexico State is in this game. The Aggies, Jerry Kill, just really a great story overall. And I kind of wanted to wait to jump on New Mexico State, but it looks like Pavia, their quarterback, who got injured in the Conference USA Championship game, and when he went out, they actually did hit a big play with the backup, but the offense kind of stumbled a little bit. But I have read reports that Pavia has been at practice, and if he plays, I think they're going to win this game. And another reason why is because Fresno State, guys, look at Fresno State down the stretch. I don't know how they made a bowl game, but they lost their last 3 games to San Jose State, to New Mexico, who New Mexico State beat, and to San Diego State. Those last 2 teams, man, those are ugly losses down the stretch. Now they have to kind of regroup for bowl season. Could they? Yes. Will they? I don't think so. I think the Aggies are the side in this one, guys. So give me the New Mexico Bowl champions, hopefully anyway, for my pocketbook, in New Mexico State and the Aggies. Joe Ranieri, throw it over to you, man. You got a big game breakdown?
Yeah, so I'm going to go just to give you guys a update, because I don't think we do any NBA on this show. But let me talk about the late game tonight here with the Clippers taking on the Golden State Warriors. It is, perception versus reality right now. Golden State getting 5.5. We are still not sure if Paul George is going to suit up here. He did sit out the second half a couple of nights ago in that game against Sacramento, kind of tweaked his ankle a little bit. He's still listed on the injury report. This will not remain 5.5 if Paul George can't go. So Golden State, no Draymond Green, apparently he has this fetish of punching people in the face, and the NBA frowns on it. So what the reality of that, though, is, A, Golden State is very used to playing games without Draymond Green. B, so far this year, Drew, all of the numbers show us that Draymond off the court, not playing in games, their efficiency goes up not only offensively, but also defensively. So what does that mean? It means Golden State's a better team when Draymond's not on the damn floor, and that goes against what everyone thinks they know about this Golden State team. And the reality is we've got to have Steph Curry have a monster game here tonight, and I do think he's going to show up. I think the team rallies around it. With no Draymond, I think they're sick and tired of hearing about it. And if Paul George, again, is ruled out last minute where he's sitting, this thing ain't going to be 5.5. So my advice, take the 5.5 while you can. There's a really good chance Golden State wins this game outright. And if Paul George don't play, you got yourself a CLV trophy to go along with it.
Joe Ranieri bringing the heat in the association right here on The Hustle, 7 o'clock Eastern time on Thursdays. Wager Talk YouTube channel brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. If you use the promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout, which I just did about 2 hours ago, guys, it does take 20% off your order. Get it shipped right to your house. Huckleberry, elderberry, watermelon, grapefruit. I like huckleberry. That's my favorite, the light blue one. Kelly in Vegas, she likes grapefruit. Kelly, tell us about grapefruit. Tell us about your big game breakdown.
Yeah, grapefruit's the only one I actually keep in stock at my house. So if you want a different flavor, you can buy your own. That's because I got sick and tired of everybody drinking my damn grapefruit, and I didn't have any. So now I just only buy the grapefruit packs, unless, of course, Chris Thurston or his brother Steve sends me nice Viva Christmas presents from Total Wine, which then I have other flavors. But that being said, grapefruit, far superior flavor, one of the best seltzer flavors out there because it's light and it's refreshing. And it doesn't remind me of that one time I got really drunk in college. Okay, if you watched Bet on It, you would know that Drew and I are on the same side with New Mexico State, 3.5. So Drew and I are in agreement there. If you watch Kelly and Murray, you would know that Chris and I are in agreement with UCLA there. So I figured I'd go to a third bowl game, but then I thought, no, why not? Been running hot in the NFL finally. It only took 14 weeks. So I'm going to stick with it instead of trying to navigate or force another bowl game. Here we have the number one team. That's right, San Francisco 49ers. Everybody's ready to give Brock Purdy the MVP off another dominant game. And that's what this team does. They win football games by a surprisingly large margin. And then we have the Cardinals, who, well, everybody thought they were supposed to be tanking. Did we all forget? Maybe they aren't. That is why Kyler Murray is back under center, and they got rid of Josh Dobbs. Kyler Murray, this team is, well, of course, better with him. This is a double-digit underdog at home with a 3-win team that doesn't have a lot to play for other than getting to play spoiler for their divisional rival. Again, I know San Francisco has won 5 straight, and they've been on a nice little tear against the spread. And, well, frankly, they own the NFC West. But I think this is a lot of points for an Arizona team who has got to play spoiler a couple times so far this season. I would not be surprised to see them get to play spoiler one more time. 8-1 as a home underdog of 9 or more points when facing a greater than 75% opponent. That is from our good friend Mark Lawrence in his newsletter. And that was just enough to shove me over the edge. I did a show with Pam Maldonado earlier on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. She said, I can't believe you don't like Arizona. I said, fine. If we're having that big of a hard time trying to find a fifth, I'll take it. Then I started to do a little bit more recon, and I think Arizona is going to piss off a ton of people on Sunday by covering this 12 points.
Oh, a little ugly dog there, Kelly. I like it. It's kind of like your style, going for that one that's under the radar. And actually, I'm
doing my best to fill in for Trig tonight. Trig picks the ugliest game on the board and then shoves it down your throat. So that's what I thought I was doing here.
Is it one of those things you feel confident about, or is it just like so ugly it's like hold your nose special?
Oh no, I took 12 with Arizona. Just right before the show, I had a 30-minute break in between shows, and I said, you know what? All right, I'm gonna ride it here with the Cardinals and see if look again. Both teams coming off a bye, but Arizona had some time to regroup. Kyler Murray should be able to run on this defense, hopefully just enough to cover this number.
And Kelly, something I gathered from our group text there, Brett throwing out what a lot of people knocked out of these contests now. There's not too many people left. I mean, how many more weeks are there in the Circa one?
So
Not
Circa
many, right?
has so this week 15, we go all the way to week 18, so there's 3 weeks left.
Okay.
They do have a double pick on Christmas week, so there's technically 4 picks left. You have to pick either Saturday or Sunday of Christmas week and then Monday. So I think a lot of people, if they have the Niners left, I've not looked at the matrix this week. I'm too busy getting people pissed off at me for saying that you should just go to the casino and take advantage of a 0% interest loan. My bad.
How would that even work? Like,
From what I've been told, you call up Circa and say, hey, I'm still alive in the Survivor contest or even in the millions. And I'd like to set up the ability to put in some hedge wagers. And they loan you the money for 30 days at 0% interest.
Yeah, Benson tweeted everything you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
And all
exactly
I simply did was retweet it because even though these are no longer my customers, I wanted people to be educated in the fact of there are other options. If you don't want to chop, again, I'm not against a chop. John and I went into it pretty heavily last night on Kelly and Murray. I'm just saying buyer beware, right? Because Circa is not going to honor some contract you each had your own lawyers draw up, and imagine trying to get 13 lawyers to agree on anything. And they're also not going to honor if only one person puts a pick in this week, right? Let's just say, and then the other 12 don't. The person who wins is the person who wins. You better hope that they're a person of integrity. And I haven't met a single one of these people, so I can't attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there would be all kinds of legal questions. I haven't passed the bar, so I can't really comment on it. But with 13 people left, it's almost like
that's 13 different states. Is this going to be legally binding in the state of Nevada? I mean, let's just say they all live in 13 different states. Maybe they don't. Maybe 5 of them live in California. I don't know. My thing is then you're asking yourself, all right, fine. We have a legal binding contract, which I've had plenty and been completely fucked over on. So that being said, you have a legal binding contract according to your lawyer, right? Let's just say everybody signs it. We shake hands, we kiss babies, and then one person wins Circa and they say, all right, thanks for the 9.2 million. You're going to have to go to their state to go after them. Nevada gaming isn't going to do anything. I mean, this is kind of very, I would say it's a very gray area. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like an area I wouldn't really want to get involved in. And then it also comes back to the point, like when people place a future, Kelly, and then they start talking about hedging, like let's say it's not in the Super Bowl, but like, you know, in the divisional round or whatever, I'm like, then you're going to have to hedge in the next round, People don't realize like hedging costs money to do. And
right.
I think
but
they just
I was saying, it does cost money to do, but if Circa is going to loan you the money for 30 days at 0% interest, you're essentially, right? Like, so, okay, let's just say this week, hypothetically, let's just say this week, you're going to use the Niners. They're a 12-point road favorite, okay? You're going to get big plus money with the Cardinals, right? And then let's just say that you save Philadelphia on Christmas. I mean, you're not having to hedge that much if you saved it correctly. Now, if you're stuck with like Atlanta and Carolina and you got to take the not Atlanta and Carolina. What was the one that somebody put on Twitter earlier? I was trying to think of what it was,
Falcons
but basically
Carolina are playing each other.
Is that okay? I think that was the analogy they used, right?
Yeah.
Like in a fade of Carolina. Sorry, that was the analogy they used. Then you're not getting a giant favorite, and you're going to have more money on Carolina in order to hedge a certain amount. And you're right. If Atlanta wins, now you lost the hedge, and then you move forward and you have to do it again. But also you're one step closer to winning $9.2 million.
That
Love
would be
to have
nice.
that problem right now. Would love to have that problem
It would be a great problem to have. Needless to say, if Kelly and CT were still alive, we'd be on a fucking airplane to Las Vegas, taking advantage of Circus Hedge. How about that?
We'd probably be there right now, and we would be Joe and Drew would be a 2-man show tonight, and we would be in Circa right now, getting ready to bang down the Chargies.
Probably. I mean, that would just make the most sense. All I'm saying is that
you still got to make the right picks, right? And plus, the other thing you got to guard against, if there's 12 people left, how do I know that 6 of them that don't know one another, that they're all part of the same group, that they're all part of? You still got to make the same damn picks, right? You don't realize how many you think it's 12 individuals when 6 of them, it's already a group. They got into the contest together, and you have no idea. So now, just make the damn right picks. Tell everyone to go fuck themselves. That's all. Sorry, can I say that? Yes, I just did. They can all kiss my ass. Make the right pick. Make the right pick.
That's a good point, Joe. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. It seems like there's a whole rumor out there that's like, oh, it's just one guy not wanting to hedge. And it's like, well, what if that guy does have the Niners this week? What if that guy does have Philadelphia on the? I kind of don't blame him, because there was a few years ago where our own Ralph Michaels did a, I don't remember if it was a chart, but it was like implied probability of each remaining entrant, right? And there was 3 or 4 guys at the top that were had significantly higher margins to win. Like, I'm talking like a 50% chance higher to win than some of the people towards the bottom. So yeah, I think it comes down to a lot of things. And now I'm going to stop talking and let Drew go back, because I'm going to open up the matrix, because now I'm really intrigued about who's got what left.
Okay. I'll take over then. Brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. This is The Hustle. Hey, welcome in on the chat box. It's live right now. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We got Abby in the house, Larescence as well. J Buff, he's agreeing with Kelly in there. We also got some questions on the Bills for CT Bets. CT, not sure if that's your best bet for the show, but do you have anything on the Bills game this weekend?
It actually is my best bet, Drew. Okay. So I could get to that, in a few minutes when you're done doing some housekeeping stuff.
Okay, we got some nice comments here. Kelly, the chat box really liking what you're having to say here and in your opinions on the games. But hey, guys, that is actually CT Bet's best bet. But shout out to everybody in the live chat, and please comment below. Actually, in the comments on the YouTube channel, we'll answer any questions on the Hustle next week. Joe Ranieri stepping in for Adam Trigger, who is at a Christmas party. I had a question for you, CT. Do you know Adam Trigger's favorite Viva flavor?
Yes, it's Huckleberry.
Oh, okay.
Same as
100%.
That's the best one. And what's yours, CT?
Yeah, I'm the same. Huckleberry is my number 1. Elderberry is my number 2.
And Joe, you have a preference?
All of them.
The one that tastes like bourbon.
Shotgun.
That's his favorite.
Yeah, whichever
the one
is
that
the
tastes like
coldest
bourbon.
at that particular moment is my favorite. So whichever one is the coldest at that time. I have no preference. I love them all.
Whenever Joe and I are hanging out, I say, Joe, which flavor do you want? I don't care. Give me a cold one.
That's great.
Just bring me the cold one.
I kind of like switching them up too. Like if I had a couple of huckleberries, go to grapefruit, something of that nature. So guys, check them out. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Best bets coming your way. Bowl season coming our way as well. One thing I wanted to throw out there, feel free to chime is in bowl season, something I like to do, guys. If you're liking one of these underdogs, particularly if it's a big underdog, I think it's time to throw half your bet on the spread, half of your bet on the money line, because each and every year, last like 4 or 5 years, when these bowl games, when the underdog comes to play and the favorite doesn't, a lot of times they'll just win money line. So, if you're getting like 2 touchdowns, you can get a big plus price on that. So sprinkle some on the money line, which I know, like Kelly, you always mention doing, but I even think it's of more importance in bowl season. Not sure if anybody had any comments on that.
That makes me think we need to ask Ralph, especially over the last few years, right? That teams start having like major opt-outs, stuff like that, where the market moves, but the team's still the favorite because it's or let's just say Oregon had a bunch of opt-outs, right? All of a sudden got announced. Line's 16, let's say it's 11, where you liked Liberty and now you have more of a reason to like Liberty. Come back and add a little bit to the money line. I would probably never say more than 25%, me personally, would I add to the money line. That's just kind of how I like to keep things in the spreadsheet world. But I'd be curious to ask Ralph, at what percentage, especially the last 3 or 4 years, what percentage of underdogs in bowl games win the game outright?
Sure, that's what I have in my notes anyway. I think it's higher than we actually realize, guys. But Joe, CT, did you guys want to throw out anything before we get to best bets?
Ready to fire whenever you are, my friend.
Ready to fire away? All right, throw it over to you, man. We got CT Bets 16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, CT Bets. What do you got for best bets?
Actually, yeah, one thing, Drew. We'll put this together. I didn't have a chance to talk to Treg, but obviously bowl season starts on Saturday. We did the contest, the Viva contest last week. I shipped out the winning Vivas this week. So Chris Duke, Bobby Arnett, Michael Magaletta, who's a huge Hustle fan, sent those out in the mail today. Expect to see those. I'll get with Trig. We'll do something for bowl season. Maybe we'll do like Saturday. There's 6 bowls, so we'll come up with some kind of contest and we'll give away some 4-packs for that. A Hustle bowl special Viva giveaway for you guys. So look forward to that. Seeing that tweet on Friday or Saturday. And Drew, my best bet, I'm going to the NFL, like whoever was asking in the chat box, and that's the Dallas Cowboys at the Buffalo Bills. And Joe and I did a show together last night, and he had a great line about the Buffalo Bills and me. He said, "CT, you and the Buffalo Bills have a love-hate relationship, and that couldn't be more correct, because they've been very good to me at times this year, and then they've treated me like absolute shit sometimes this year. So hoping they treat me very well this weekend, Drew." The Bills go in the Arrowhead last week. They get outgained, but they get out of there with a horrible second half. They get out of there with a win. And as we know, the Cowboys have really been really good at home this year, but they've really struggled on the road. And I think that's what we're going to see here on Sunday is this Dallas Cowboys team, which has been red hot, kind of struggle in Buffalo. And yeah, I know you look at the Bills' record, right? And they haven't been great this year. They really haven't. And, they're turning over the ball a lot. But I feel like they've been better the last few games here. And their offense is still one of the best in the NFL. And they have a really great home field advantage, as we all know. And this is going to probably tick up here. I'm showing 1.5, 2s. I expect to get closer to 3 as we get closer to Sunday here. But I think it's a bad spot for the Cowboys, coming off that huge win in divisional game versus the Eagles. Now have to travel across country to Buffalo, play in the freezing cold where no one likes to play other than the Bills. So my best bet, Drew, goes this weekend. I think it's a 4:30 Eastern game. Play on the Buffalo Bills, -1.5 to get it done.
Dome team up in the elements, like the breakdown there, CT. Hey, in the AFC, this playoff picture, it is so wide open. All these teams bunched together. You think the Bills make the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I do think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think a big part of it's going to go down, have to do with this weekend. This is a must-win for this team, and I think they're going to get the win, and I do think they're going to sneak into the playoffs. And I don't know about you. I know Joe will agree with me. I wouldn't want to see this Buffalo Bills team in the playoffs. Not one bit.
Joe, would you agree with him? And any final thoughts, best bet for the show?
Yeah, listen, they've had a knack of doing this over the last couple of years anyway, where, in the first third of the season, there are games and times where we scratch our head and go, what in the hell is this Buffalo team doing? And then all of a sudden they find themselves at, in Kansas City at Arrowhead, and they are this close to being, Super Bowl bound. I think it's been a little rougher this year, but I think they're better off for it because, Drew, ultimately the goal is play your best damn football this time of year heading into January. Don't peak too soon. And I think they're better for the struggles that they've had thus far this year. And that's the difference between the Bills this year and what we've gotten in years past.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're right. Like the timing of the year in the Bills, they've been We'll turn it on, turn it off type thing. But hey, Joe Ranieri, you guys see him all over the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Joe, any final thoughts here for the show? Did you have a best bet you want to throw out?
Yeah, I'll throw it out because it was the bet I made, first one I made this week, and I love the spot here for the Detroit Lions at home taking on a Denver Broncos team, which is now, I believe, its third straight on the road. This is not a great spot for them. You're talking about a Lions team that just looked absolutely terrible last week and has screwed over a number of us on this panel right now here over the last month or so. But the reality is they gave up 5 sacks last week against the Bears. I do not see that happening this week against the front of Denver, mostly because their all-pro center Frank Ragnow is back for this game. So they will clean up the offensive protection. I also do not, styles make fights. And this Denver defense, one of the worst in giving up big explosive plays to running games. And you have no more explosive running backs than what you're going to have here on the Detroit side. So I do think they need a win. It's a great bounce back spot. They're in the comfort of home. They ain't got to worry about the elements. And they're taking on a team right now from the AFC who's now got to play its third game on the road. Yeah, no, I don't think Denver's going to be able to run the ball against the front of Detroit. So I got no problem laying the 4. I think they win by at least a touchdown, if not more, this Saturday, actually. Sorry, Saturday.
Yeah, a little trifecta games on Saturday. Actually, Saturday's slate, guys. Not sure if we get, 6 bowl games? We had 3 NFL games. It's a pretty loaded slate. And then we got the Sunday NFL. So it's a good weekend for sports bettors out there. And speaking of the bowl games on Saturday, guys, my best bet. Well, if you missed last week, I feel like I need to recap because it was App State threw it out there against Miami of Ohio. And if you got down on it, I believe it was -4 on the show. Now it's as high as -6.5, but you can still get them at 6. I like it. And to throw out the stat again, guys, Sun Belt Conference since 2014, the most winning conference in bowl season. I think there's something to that because, hey, you play so many conference games. And then when you go into bowl season, you're playing against other conferences that might have been able to stack up wins. And sure enough, I think it sets up well to bet on that Sun Belt trend as the most winningest conference since 2014. That's when the playoffs started. And they're up against the MAC conference, which, hey, athletically speaking, they're usually up against it. So that puts me on App State here. If you could have got them at 4, now it's at 6 is the low water mark. So I'll recap that from last week, but that's a best bet for me. And also a little bonus pick here, Texas Tech. Their running back, Brooks, he's coming back to Texas Tech, and they're up against Cal, -3. That's the nightcap on the Saturday slate for bowl season, 9:15 Eastern. Give me the Red Raiders in the Big 12 up against the Pac-12, up against Cal. He's put up 95 or more yards in 10 games this season. I think Cal's going to have a tough time stopping him. So Red Raiders as a best bet as well. -3 flat is how you can find them right now. Looking at the Wager Talk Live odds screen pretty much across the board. Our closer here, Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Kelly, any final thoughts for the show? And what do you got for best bets?
Yeah, I pulled up in the Circa Matrix. There is quite a few people that had to save, Philly, Kansas City, and San Francisco. Luckily, everybody left did save somebody for Christmas, which we've seen not happen before, especially some of those people trying to sell those picks. Well, you would have to use the Raiders. Let's leave it at that. You would have to use the Raiders on Christmas. Thank you for whoever tried to sell that one. But outside of that, there's a lot of really interesting dynamics here. The Indianapolis, only one person's used them all season long. Green Bay, Cincinnati, everybody has available. Tennessee, 5 people have available, which is going to be interesting without CJ Stroud this week, as well as Atlanta. 12 people have Atlanta available. So I'm really curious to see how this ends up playing out. That's all I got. Really, there wasn't anybody that I saw out of the 13 that could really run away with this like we'd seen in years past that had, a really perfect path. This year was interesting, right? If you didn't bet road teams or you didn't bet a couple of those major bullets like Jacksonville against Houston, you pretty much would have survived. And unfortunately, CT and I went out with Detroit on Thanksgiving. That sucked. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into the Sunday NFL slate. As I mentioned, I already gave out a best bet on it. So I'm going to pivot and give out a different bet here. And go watch Kelly and Murray as well on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. He gave out tons of sharp information. One of those is in agreement with CT Bet. So you love to see it. I lied. I think I'm going to go to Monday Night Football instead, just for fun. Seattle Seahawks, Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia. Oh boy. I felt like I was so right about this team for like 9 weeks. I kept saying, this team is not any good. This team cannot stop a nosebleed. And they just kept winning football games and completely ruining my life. That being said, this team is finally susceptible, especially in the secondary. Now, here's my one caveat. If it is Drew Lock, I want no part of this game. But the line is suggesting that it is going to be Geno Smith. And Geno is, for all of his pitfalls, is not the turnover machine Drew Lock. So, look, we've seen Seattle kind of get their backs pushed up against the ropes, right? They had a nice 4-game home winning streak there. And then Thanksgiving, the wheels started to fall off after facing the 49ers. Now, they do have a little bit of pressure here if they want to make the playoffs. As I said, just go after the 2 cornerbacks there on defense. Come on, you got DK Metcalf. Make it happen there, Geno Smith. Give me the 4 with the Seahawks on Monday night.
There you go. Monday Night Football from Kelly Stewart. Sounds like, what, CT Bet, you're liking it as well?
Yep, Ariana as well. Same page.
All right, let's go. Seahawks, Monday Night Football to end it, guys. CT Bets, Kelly Stewart, Joe Ranieri. I'm Drew Martin. Check out VivaTequilaSeltzer.com and WagerTalk.com, guys. A lot of free picks up and available, and the live odds screen. That's what we're going off of for up-to-date odds. Joe Ranieri, CT Bets, Kelly Stewart. I'm Drew Martin. That does it for the show. Please smash that like button. Comment below, guys. Any questions? I'll be in there before next week's show. We'll answer them on there. And remember the contest. Check out at Hustle Show Pod on Twitter for details. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.